morning. Thank you all for coming, and thanks to everyone here for coming from all over the state to represent their organizations. I'm going to be as quick as I can. We've been saying the same thing for 3 years, 4 years, longer even, and today we're just going to punch it out, folks. Economists have been warning us, national and state, that our high government spending was getting the state in trouble, that the economy was going to falter, that our wedge between private sector output and government spending was alarming at 58%. Economists have told us that South Carolina's government spending from all sources is 40% of the economy. But we've continued to grow the budget. Over the last 10 years, we haven't cut programs, we haven't cut spending, it has increased every single year. Last year, it was down by about 0.5%. So government spending from 10 years ago to today, $14 billion to $22 billion in this state budget, in this economy. It sails through with little discussion and little debate. And I think we all appreciate that some have stood up and said, we have to put a stop to this. Yes. This is the biggest budget in state history at $22 billion. Medicaid growth alone is 26%. Our budget is growing twice as fast as our ability to pay for it. The general fund is up $957 million. Other funds, $246 million, and federal funds by $168 million. And it's important to note that those federal dollars make this state more and more dependent on Washington, D.C. every year. More than a third of our state government is funded and controlled out of Washington, D.C. So we're not cutting those programs. Our debt is 22% of the economy, and that's the fourth highest rate in the nation. And still we're funding tourism and marketing and economic development entities to create jobs, even as our state lost 118,000 jobs from 2008 to 2010. That's where we are. We're still funding money and breaks for companies, a handful, and for Hollywood producers and filmmakers. They're all getting tax relief. Well, this year, the folks behind me and all the folks out there are saying, let's give tax relief to South Carolinians. Yeah. And every year we get down in the weeds on the programs. But the larger picture is that $1 billion spending increase is one we cannot afford. We've got to move in the other direction in spending on state government, get our economy up and moving. We can give tax relief back this year, and I think it's time to do that, and it can be done. So, the folks behind me are here to talk as well. Don Weaver from the South Carolina Association of Taxpayers could not be here today. But on behalf of his organization, he is urging everyone to make South Carolina taxpayers the priority this year. So, behind we have some of our senators are here. First, I'd like to ask Talbert Black to speak from Campaign for Liberty. And then we have Bauer Waters with the Plug for Growth here as well. And then you'll hear from some elected officials and some other folks. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Black. I am the state coordinator for Campaign for Liberty, and what I'd like to say is brief, and that is families and businesses are working hard to get by on less. Families are cutting their budget, they're spending less, they're buying fewer groceries, businesses are laying off employees, some are even closing their doors, yet our state government is finding ways to spend upwards of $1 billion more this year. We've got budget writers that think that's okay. They think that's a good thing. Who are these people? Why do they think they need to stay in their position? If you were running a company and they were your budget writers, what would you do? Fire. Thank you. So it's time to lay our elected officials off if they can't figure out simple family budgeting. And that is, when times get tough, you cut the budget. You live within your means, you don't spend more than you make. One of the things that I found is that when we make suggested cuts to our elected officials, they tell us why we can't cut, because it's a good program. Well, every single program that was created in government was thought good by somebody, because that's the reason it got put in there. You know, as a family, we go and we find things to spend on like food, clothing, housing, medical expenses, maybe even entertainment, and all those things are necessary for a healthy family. But when you make less, you find ways to cut, even the important programs. So today, what I'd like to say is this. I'm not going to suggest any specific cuts to our elected officials, but what I will suggest is that you spend less than what you did last year. And if you can't figure out how to do it, expect to see a help wanted sign in your district when you go home.
South Carolina Club for Growth. First of all, I think I'll be very brief. We have watched for the last year as conservatives across the state have consistently said that they're conservatives. You go to any meeting and you will hear long litanies of why people are conservative, why they're going to cut the budget, how they're fiscally responsible. Well, right now, this is the time where we're going to see who actually is physically responsible and who is just talking and not walking the walk. The senators behind me have made a commitment to not only stopping increases in our state budget, which has grown significantly over the last 10 years, but trying to cut unneeded programs so we can have a more competitive state across this country. And I really want to thank all of them for standing up and making the tough decisions. And if the other senators will not make tough decisions, we plan on getting involved in their races, and I think everyone here plans on being involved. The Senate is a very exciting place in 2012. And if senators will not make stands, we will make a stand at the next ballot practice. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Tom Davis. I'm a state senator from Beaufort. It is extremely gratifying that citizens on a Tuesday morning, rainy Tuesday morning, will make their way to the Capitol to support what I have to admit is a very unpopular decision up there in that chamber. But having you here this morning and seeing you and talking to you gives all of us the strength to be your voice up there. Because Ashley is absolutely right. We are about to pass the highest budget in state history. We are about to grow Medicaid by 26.6%. Now those are facts. Last year on the appropriated line, $724.9 million for Medicaid. This year, $917.2 million for Medicaid, a 26.6% increase. Now I understand why. Because for every Medicaid dollar that's spent, you get a federal matching dollar. And they want those federal matching dollars. Let me tell you this. We're bankrupting ourselves chasing after those federal dollars. It is the crack cocaine of budget. You have to go fight. Dollars and wealth in South Carolina. The question is simple. Don't get down in the weeds. Where do you want that money spent? Do you want the money spent up here in Columbia, or do you want the money going back to the people to have them make the decisions? It's a very simple question. We're struggling right now for the soul of the Republican Party. We either stand for limited government and individual liberty and free markets, or we don't. Or we don't. It's that simple. I believe that we do. And a majority of Republicans a couple weeks ago, or a week ago in the Senate, voted against this budget. Yeah. We're talking about a minority of Republicans joining with Democrats to pass the largest budget in state history. We can't stand for that, or we're going to be a minority party. Thank you again for showing up. You give us the strength, and we're going to do the best we can for you today. Thank you.